Hello there, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games. It's the UK versus the United States, the game that we've been talking about all day, Lorinda. Who is going to win it?
United States.
Well,
USA.
We go straight into it. Well,
I've got to pretend to be Sottle. I've followed his career this far so far. I can't just suddenly bail out on him.
As it happens, there are some conflicting opinions there. As you can see on the screen right now, the United States is Sottle, the traitor. It's his pick. But the United Kingdom is the pick of Dan Gaskin, who will be joining us in the studio next.
I've changed my mind then. I like Gaskin more than Sottle.
But what was your pick, Twitch chat? Well, yesterday we did a poll during the community show, and we found out that 61% of you thought the USA was going to win. So
Change my mind again. Welcome, Twitch.
honestly,
Hello to the 61%.
this wasn't quite as much of a landslide as I expected. I thought that more people in chat would think that the USA were going to win.
The show was kind of European time, though.
Yeah, okay, we sort of.
Let's go with that as an explanation.
But shall we find out who the players are on both sides? United Kingdom, Ball Control, Green Sheep, Jackie Chan and Toast Monster versus the United States, Just Saying, Muzzy, Terrence M and Frozen. That is a good lineup.
That is a terrific lineup, Sane and Muzzy, just tearing it up at the moment. Frozen did fantastic last year.
Second place World Championship. I just want to cut in right. Like
yeah,
that.
pretty good.
That's
pretty
not just fantastic. That's a very, very, very fantastic score.
At least we don't have to use the word beautiful when we're watching this video. But it is the UK.
It's home.
UK team this time around feels a lot more coherent than before, as in a coherent strategy and coherent. They know each other a lot better. They've toured a lot of tournaments together this year, and so I feel they know each other more.
Right.
And I do think the United Kingdom this time around are definitely more of a unit. But the USA, how do you overcome this team of absolute monsters?
I have the answer. I know how you can overcome this team of absolute monsters, and that is you remove one of the absolute monsters from the equation. Muzzy is not playing today.
Ooh.
And the United Kingdom have been talking about that all day. And direct quote from Toast Monster. This is something they've been saying all day, apparently. They've been saying, no Muzz, no win, NA lull. Apparently this quote is very important to them. They've been saying it all day to keep their spirits up. No Muzz, no win, NA lull.
Okay, no Muzz, no win, NA lull.
Let's take a look at the picks and bans and how it's shaping up. Now, point I want to say straight away here is that United Kingdom had their Druid banned straight away. No, it's not Malagos Druid or Token Druid or any of the other Druids you'd expect. It's actually Togwaggle Druid.
And they managed to get that banned first up. That's interesting. I want to make a quick note about United Kingdom's Druid as well. Different deck, but Archer Knight, who is from the UK, he's only 19, he recently reached rank 1 legend. And he's playing the deck I was talking about earlier, which I incorrectly credited to Theo. Theo hasn't made any bones about this. He's credited Archer Knight on every stream that it's his deck. But I want to make sure that the right guy got associated with that deck. That is basically Malagos with Blade Masters and and such like to give yourself more of a mid-game strategy on ladder.
Yep.
Check out Archer Knight's Twitter, get him some followers, and steal his deck.
Right, let's take a look at how these games have been matched against each other. And straight away, I'm going to tell you, this is looking rough for the United States.
Change my mind again. Go on, UK.
Odd Paladin versus Aggro Mage. That should be the Paladin's game. Odd Rogue versus Control Priest. That should be the Rogue's game.
Okay.
Gets a little bit closer there. Zoo versus Mali Druid. Again, Zoo is favoured, not by much. Ball Control on the Hunter versus Frozen on the Shadowwalk Shaman. Hunter is the favourite here. And finally, we've got Shadowwalk Shaman with Wild Pyromancer versus Odd Paladin. From what I can see, this is five out of 5 favoured matchups for the United Kingdom. If they're ever going to take down the USA, this is the day.
It does look like a good opportunity for them. Green Sheep's all smiles. He likes to hit people in the face, so I hear.
And he's playing Odd Paladin, quite rightly so.
Definitely the right deck for the job.
I haven't hung out with Green Sheep enough to actually have been hit in the face by him yet.
I think everybody on ladder has been hit in the face by Green Sheep.
On ladder? Okay, that's fine then. Some crossed wires there. But Green Sheep coming up against Frozen. As I said a moment ago, second place Hearthstone World Championship 2017, just losing out to Tom 60229.
Green Sheep, top 16 World Championship 2014. There.
Yeah.
3 years more experience since he got to the World Championship.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you, except I am, and second place is much better than top 16.
Indeed.
And I would also argue that players in general have gotten a lot better over the last few years. Like,
yes.
the skill cap for the game has gone up. Players have improved overall. Ooh, there's a Mana Worm in the hand.
There's a Mana Worm for Frozen and a Frostbolt for Frozen.
Sottle was going to like that, I think. Or
so Sottle, right?
Or dislike.
This bloke Sottle who hates this deck. Do you remember when he reached the top 4 at Gfinity, 2015?
No, I don't remember that.
He was playing Tempo Mage. And people refusing to talk to him after he beat them in Mana Worms after their matches.
I guess.
So don't believe everything this man says.
I guess what comes around goes around?
Exactly. It's karma.
Okay.
Yeah. Got him.
Kind of backwards, I think, but we'll just go with it.
Yeah, he says he doesn't like it, and now he's forced to watch it because he played it first. He was really early on the ball with this one.
Either way, Mana Worm going to come down straight away. No hesitation there, no surprises either. And Green Sheep, it's down to him to survive. He's got the Boisterous Bard, which isn't necessarily that good in this matchup. I guess it protects his 1/1s from being pinged.
It does, but you don't really have time to do the pinging, as you're alluding to there when you say it's not that good. Basically, all about just keep pressing the button. It just tends to be enough. Ukraine 2-0 up against Chile now, looking to continue their winning ways. Although last week's winning ways were a bit shaky, they'd be happy if they can make that into a 3-0 and stabilise it.
Last week versus, I believe, Croatia, it was a very close series, but now Croatia is 0-2 and Ukraine about to be 2-0. So they've managed to separate themselves that way. Arcane Missiles is very good against this deck, and not so bad against Argent Squires either.
Not so bad at all. Interesting choice for Frozen. Obviously, you don't want to waste mana, but when do you slot these missiles in if you do save it? But going to play by the numbers and slot it in as and when he gets a chance.
Potentially next turn, if United States don't pick up a secret, they may go Arcane Missiles and ping.
Well, yeah, or whatever they pick up because the deck's such a low curve. Maybe even turn 4 instead of Life Drinker, depending what comes as well.
So, Lorinda, you've played a lot of Murloc Mage, right?
I've played more Murloc Mage than I should have.
Than you'd like to admit.
Yeah.
And you kind of wish I didn't just say that. Okay, that's fine.
I'm just cringing now. I didn't really play that deck. Yeah, I did.
Now, you say that the matchup there versus Odd Paladin is incredibly favoured versus Odd Paladin, almost unwinnable for the Mage.
Yeah, I was talking to, because I just couldn't work out how the Mage wins that game. I was talking to Alex Noah saying, how do I win? He goes, well, I'm 20%, and he's one of the best aggro players in the world. Right. So I'm just going to say you can't win if you're me. Right,
and so I would imagine that this matchup isn't too different. Maybe this is slightly better than Murloc Mage.
Yeah, it's a little bit better because you have arcane missiles and stuff, so you can actually kill some things. The problem with the Murloc Mage is you just cannot ever establish enough minions, which is all you have to kill off their minions. But yeah, this is a bit better, but still the same strategy. You press the button every time, you go wider than the Mage can deal with, their minions don't get to hit you in the face, so their spells don't get to finish you off, and bad things happen.
I like how Frozen played that, by the way, just playing the missiles first, then seeing if any of the minions stayed alive. If one did, you could ping it, otherwise play the minion. So in order to win this game, the United Kingdom are going to have to get themselves well and truly on the board, which is what Frozen is trying to prevent at the moment.
Yeah, next turn's where it gets difficult for Frozen because he's out of spells. Sure, he can trade the minions in and buy some time, but time isn't on your side as the Mage. Time is on the side of the Paladin, incredibly, Green Sheep having to play the role of defender for a turn or two. Because as soon as they get a level up on a couple of minions, that's it, unless the Mages hit you in the face a few times. Now, obviously with a Luneth in hand, he's hit all 5 of those.
Amazing.
All 4, sorry, but yeah.
This is as good a start. Look at Frozen and the big smile from him. This is about as good a start, I think, as a Mage could possibly have. And actually, can Green Sheep even get back on the board now this game? I'm not seeing it.
Now we're looking at a Luneth. How does Green Sheep now kill Frozen? Frozen's got plenty of time, even if he doesn't win immediately, to set up a Luneth and just fire some fireballs at the face.
Well, Green Sheep beats Frozen if Frozen fatigues himself, but Frozen's just going to have beaten Green Sheep by the time he fatigues himself here. And now look at this. Frozen can just go Archaeologist and then play whichever secret he would prefer to play with the Kirin Tor Mage as well.
Yeah, and that's just absolutely insane here for the United States.
He doesn't get to choose that still. As far as Green Sheep is concerned, there's been a choice made because that's not the secret that Frozen just drew. And that would have been done for a conscious decision, right?
Sure. Yeah, if you can surprise people, I mean, they know it's got a 38% chance of being counterspell, but if you can surprise them with it, then sure.
Usually, when you draw a secret off the Arcanologist and play it, you would play that secret immediately.
Talking Keysmith there, too, was of course 50-50 in terms of creature. Yeah, you're right.
But like Frozen, very, carefully played the secret that hadn't just been drawn, so the Green Sheep thinks that he's just made a decision and played the better secret for this situation. It's all mind games, but let's see if it works.
I mean, it's just not going to matter by the look of this. How does Green Sheep, like you said, how does he ever get back on this board? He's taken too much damage to survive in a Luneth and still make a counterattack. Now, the counterattack does come quickly, don't get me wrong here. A bunch of 3/3s firing at you can do a lot of damage very fast, but it's probably too late. How do you even try and get some sort of board going into next turn? Like, if you play the dudes and a raid leader, you just take too much damage.
And as far as Green Sheep's concerned, there may well be explosive runes down. Nope, there's no explosive runes. Counterspell. That leaves Green Sheep with a hero power, and that's about it for this turn. Boisterous Bard can trade away either the 4/3 or the 5/1 Mana Worm. It's difficult to decide which one is correct, actually.
It is, because you can trade next turn, but is there even a next turn?
It's going to go with the minion that has more health rather than the one that has infinite amount of attack.
So there is the opportunity here. I mean, most of this doesn't matter, it's pretty much over, but instead of playing a Luneth, you can Frostbolt the raid leader, ping off a dude, and just hit them in the face for a load more. Or is this actually lethal with the spells? Looks like it. Oh, that was setting up Life Drinker lethal.
It's not quite lethal, it's almost lethal. Like you said, next turn, I think with Life Drinker and ping, that will do it. But, yeah, I mean, Frozen had all of the different ways he could possibly have wanted to win this game. Thanks to the Mana Worm on turn 1, Frostbolt on 2, and just curving out perfectly.
Correct play here is to play level up and hope that's not a counterspell. Because you know it's not a rune, they're the only two secrets in the deck. So if it's something else, you win.
Oh, right, I see. That's okay, that's a reasonable play. I hadn't considered that. I'm pretty sure that we have admins here that do check all of that kind of thing.
I think the fact that it's live streamed on an admin account is probably enough to check it anyway.
You know what? I told you that the UK had 5 favourable matchup, but now I'm having to put a big tick by the USA as they managed to take the first one. And this is like textbook USA versus UK, isn't it? I mean, I said if the UK are ever going to beat the USA, this is the opportunity. Well...
And then there were 4 green bottles. So, can they get the next win? Dan.
Next up, it's going to be Odd Rogue with Jackie Chan versus Just Saying on the Control Priest. Another good matchup for the UK. I will say hesitantly.
I can see how this one went down. It's like Jackie saying, gonna play some more serious stuff this time around, but I still like to play odd decks. And they go, right, play this.
I mean, slow down a second, because again, I will remind you, Lorinda, they had Togwoggle Druid. It was banned. They had Combo Priest with the unpowered Steambot. That was banned. They had Murloc Mage. They had Murloc Mage in their lineup. It was the last deck to be banned.
I hadn't actually realised. I knew the other two.
It was the last deck to be banned, but, like, Jackie clearly wanted to bring strange stuff, but the USA was saying, nope. We don't want to have to face against
We're not facing any of that mess. We want to play good Hearthstone
We will play good, regular, standard Hearthstone decks, and we will just beat them. That is the USA's plan.
Incredibly aggressive lineup from the UK. We've seen that tend to fail.
Yeah, Togwoggle Druid is a terrifyingly aggressive.
Sure.
You're right.
But the rest of it.
Yeah.
Togwoggle is just offensive deck.
Yeah.
In the same way as aggressive, but it's just offensive.
On the other side of things, USA's lineup has been pretty much completely standard. You can aggro mage this week seems to be one of the standard decks. Like last week, it was almost all big spell mages, but we've got aggro mage, control priest, melee druid, shadowwalk shaman, odd paladin, and the bans were even warlock, odd rogue, death rattle hunter, and taunt warrior in that order. They are just all the standard. Like just bring the best decks and win with them is their strategy.
And that could be a thing that hinders the USA going forward. I mean, they're smart enough to adjust to that. They've got Muzzy and Frozen, both of whom love to mess around with decks, and so they should be okay, but they've just got to make sure they don't become too predictable. That's one of the things with 6 weeks of Swiss, with 3 of those being the same format. So next week in particular, I wouldn't want to be playing the US. I wouldn't want to be the USA next week as well as I wouldn't really play them any week. But
Jackie Chan was telling me earlier on that the team dynamic last week for them was surprisingly good. Yeah, they did lose, but they communicated well. They were happy with the lineup. And this week, they're just going to do more of the same thing, and it will just go better. Like they thought they got a little bit unlucky last week, and they don't think that's going to happen again. And Toast Monster was saying, you know, before I saw them, he was saying, we've got some pretty favoured matchups, and Muzzy's not there, so I'm feeling quite confident.
I wonder how he's feeling right now. Of course, probably the biggest event he's played in. He did play the finals of the UK Prem, which is a big deal. But he played a lot of the tour stops as well. I think it goes a long way to have Toast Monster, Green Sheep, and Ball Control playing week after week at the same tour stops. Jackie Chan's been to a few of those as well. Yep. He qualified for the top 16 and 1. He turned up at Oslo anyway just to play. Turned up to Italy to cast.
Yeah, and even before the tour stop started, he won Game Goon.
Yeah, so he knows these players, and they'll have a lot. It's amazing how much you get to know people when you see them for just a few hours here and there, once every couple of weeks.
I also want to add, what was that? Was that a little gesture there, Loretta?
I was just saying how great it was, Dan, that I see you all the time.
I also want to add, Toast Monster had a bath in a bathtub full of toast.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get voted into the team and you're a bit less heard of, calling yourself Toast Monster and bathing in toast is definitely the way forward. I recommend you do it. We have a bit of a breakfast problem in the UK, as you can see. Last year we had Jumbo getting voted onto the team for making lots of jokes about eggs. So Bean Man, next year, you're in. If you're out there and you're called Bean Man, go for it.
Meaty wasn't quite able to make it in the UK. He was another UK player that had what was his caption? I don't even remember it.
I don't remember.
But it was some sort of funny about meat. It can't have been that good.
It can't be as good as toast.
Never mind.
So Bean Man eating like beans with a cocktail stick as quickly as possible.
Okay, is this advice just for anyone in HGG? Or
anyone in the UK who's got a breakfast-related name.
Could I just change my name and...
Like Dan Bean? Bean Dan?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, go for it.
From now on, I will be known as Bean Dan.
As in, I has been Dan, but I'm not Dan anymore. I'm just Bean Dan.
Bean Dan. Production team? Production team?
And what are you going to do for your picture?
I hope you've paid attention.
Bath full of beans?
I'm at Bean Dan now. That seems uncomfortable.
I mean, bath full of toast doesn't sound particularly comfortable. You don't know where that toast might go.
Yeah, but beans are slimy, you know?
Toast is like sort of scrapey.
Ooh.
And was it burnt toast?
Probably.
Well,
toast usually is in the UK.
Going to find out if toast gets burnt in this game. Let me not go see Jackie Chan first.
No,
why are we talking about toast?
I'm sure that loads of you watching right now are very familiar with this face. Jackie Chan, one of our most cherished Hearthstone streamers in the United Kingdom.
Does he always have his trophy that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
We cast the UK Nationals tournament together a few weeks ago, Jackie and I, and yes, it was very much in shot.
Good. I don't blame him. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah,
if I had any trophies.
So it's him on the odd rogue, and it's not looking like a bad start. He's got 1 drop into Hero Power into 3 drop into even the Deadly Poison if he wants it. Hedge Clown Thugs are obviously vital, though. Becomes a 4-4 after it gets played. Even King Mukla, very aggressive strategy. Jackie's just going to want to be dealing as much damage to this Priest as quickly as possible.
And this is perfect for the Priest, pretty much. It's not absolutely perfect, of course.
It's got the use.
But he has got a way of occupying the board, at least, as well. And the use can be a big deal, because it eats up a lot of mana and allows your minions to survive 1 extra turn.
Is someone injured?
Yeah, this is, like you said, like with the Mana Worm actually last game, this is as good a start as Just Saiyan could possibly get. And now Jackie's going to have to think twice before he just drops that Firefly, as he would be just giving the United States a card.
Yeah, it gives them a card, but if they take the card, it allows Jackie a chance to kill off the Cleric and just stop that nonsense before it gets out of hand.
Well, no, it doesn't, because oh yeah, it does.
Because the 1/1 survives and jumps in. But that's quite slow, so who says turn 1 should be 20 seconds quicker than turn 3? This looks like the hardest turn of the game, potentially, to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Oh!
He passes. Decides he doesn't want any of that, which means...
He
yeah.
didn't seem sure about that. Did you see the face he pulled just then?
I wonder who has final say. I imagine my instinct is that Ball Control shouts, "Don't do it," so they don't do it. Jackie is an absolutely great player in his own right, but I think, especially when it comes to this sort of thing, Tempo Rogue was a big thing for ball control for the longest time. I imagine if he disagrees, you probably have to listen.
United Kingdom are missing 2 players from last year who have been replaced. I believe it was Jambray and George C. Been replaced by Ball Control and Toast Monster. Green Sheep and Jackie still here, was here last year as well. But you're right, about Ball Control being the anchor of the team, probably calling a lot of the shots.
And I mean, he's up there right at the top with F2K and challenging the Tempo Storm for #1 spot now.
That's right.
Got a chance to challenge them again today. 2 Tempo Storm players on this team and 2 F2K players on the other team.
Competition never ends, yeah.
So more than just country versus country, although that's all that is at stake in this one, but yeah, they're challenging each other across the board in various different formats.
Yeah, if we're just judging it on that, I'd give United States a slight edge because Jackie isn't part of the team roster for Fade to Calm.
Sure.
But Muzzy's not there, so maybe not.
Maybe not, yeah. No Muzzies is no better than like 0.1 Muzzies.
Well, again, the quote is no Muzz, no win.
Okay.
You can imagine like the team chanting that together.
Can you?
Yeah.
I can imagine George C chanting that.
Alright, well Jackie has successfully managed to get this Vicious Fledgling to stick to the board in return. So now cards like Stealth, in theory, can make this get out of control. But we see there's a Mind Blast, sorry, a Mass Dispel, and also a Duskbreaker. So it's actually very difficult for Jackie to protect this. As we get, oh, Wind Fury, okay.
Gets the Wind Fury. That's what he's looking for. Now things get aggressive in a hurry.
Stealth, Divine Shield, nothing actually protects the Fledgling though. If he goes for the Stealth, then Duskbreaker plus Master Spell will do it. If he goes for the Divine Shield, then Duskbreaker will do it with a trade from the Cleric. Like, there's just no clean way of keeping this alive.
So forcing him to use the Duskbreaker might be the best way with the Stealth. So at least the Cleric blows up then.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm wondering what 1/1 does. Not all that much. Turns it into a 3/4.
Yeah, takes the Stealth.
I think that was the obvious one. Now there's a Blink Fox on the board. Just saying, it's not going to hesitate very much at all with this turn.
Lightwell seems entirely awful. Just really grim.
I just think this turn is very simple. United States are going to take it nice and slow and think through all of the possibilities, but it's like Twilight Drake. It's just not looking as good here as Duskbreaker, is it?
Is there anything funky with a Mass Dispel?
The problem is, he then actually has to attack into both minions. And he can't, if he plays Master Spell, he can't actually clear both minions. Maybe he doesn't have to, but I think against the Odd Rogue, the strategy is keep them off the board and prevent themselves from taking damage. They do have an extra Divine Hymn to heal themselves later on. That will be invaluable.
Yeah. Just wondering if you Master Spell and kill the Fledgling, and then not attack into the Fox. You have what, a 1/3 and a 3/2.
Must consider.
Sure. No, because the Fledgling will get its attack back.
Okay,
So do a 1/3 and a 3/1.
Okay.
He's going with it though. Second.
And now it doesn't matter which
Duskbreaker.
one he kills because they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Just in case one gets bounced, you kill the Fledgling.
Yeah.
But this way makes it that you can Duskbreaker next turn anyway, and maybe you take 3 damage less because the Blink Fox may trade into the Cleric. You're threatening to heal your 3/1. If they're daggering, then are you that scared? Like, if they're using 2 of their 4 mana? They didn't play anything on turn 1, so you've got every right to believe they haven't got a 1-drop. So it could be a 4 mana dagger.
Sure. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. All I'm thinking, really, when I look at this game state at the moment is just how Jackie hasn't managed to get the tempo he needs early on. With 2 Duskbreakers in hand, just saying, has all of the tools that he needs to keep Jackie off of the board, and even the Ooze to deal with the weapon.
So you have complicated, interesting thoughts. All I see is, why is there a light well in his hand, and what on earth is he going to do?
Nothing. The answer is Blink Fox and nothing, in that order.
Okay.
Then again, that all being said,
Sure, I mean, he's found a use for it, at least.
United States can't actually deal with it. What?
No, but it's not always... I mean, they can't deal with it, but it's not doing
It can be cold-blooded. Not right now, but...
That would be exciting.
Yeah, that's... Okay. All right.
4-5 light well.
Let's go, Jackie Chan.
Yeah. If only they had mass dispel. No. Staying obviously in a very strong position compared to what you'd expect to be at this point.
Yes.
And
Also,
importantly, there is Fungal Mancer in hand, which I think you just...
I was literally just
I
gonna
said.
You got that just before I did.
Got in there.
Healed the face. That's not what Jackie Chan will have wanted. Brassbone Slayer, no good on turn 5 in Odd Rogue, but now if Jackie does want to, he can play the Fungal Mancer, make the trade with the weapon.
That seems okay.
His Lightwell would then die to the second Dustbreaker, but I'm not even sure that Jackie should play around both.
So let's go the other way. If you don't make the trade, you're letting the Dustbreaker hit whatever you play.
Yeah.
And so that kind of forces your hand, I feel, unless you've got some sort of cunning Leroy play, which looks messy.
United States are not running the 5/4 Rush Minion.
Okay.
I'm not sure what sort of difference that makes, but maybe if Jackie doesn't deal with the Drake... No, it's... He could have buffed the Lightwell, not dealt with the Drake, and then if the second Dustbreaker had to come out to deal with it, it would have then dealt with the first Dustbreaker anyway. It's going to go this way. And again, it gives Just Saying a really clean way of dealing with the board. He can make the trade, play the Dustbreaker, and even play the Ooze to deal with that 2/2 weapon.
Yeah, in fairness, if he didn't have the second Dustbreaker, which we've got Caster Vision on, this would actually be very difficult to deal with this turn.
Right, and I
said...
said...
the Lightwell can heal things up as well.
Yeah, and I said that, like, I don't know if it's correct for Jackie to play around him having both of them.
No, you're right.
Seems like a bit of a tough position. But the fact that, as well, the Ooze deals with a clean, only just equipped weapon, it's not what Jackie's going to want to see.
I'm already looking at Jackie's next turn. It looks like Firefly,
Oh, I love
Vile Spine
Vile Fly.
on the 3/3 Dustbreaker, and just not getting anywhere quick. Yeah, Jackie's face, about as expressive as it ever would be on a bad turn.
Jackie is not one to frown, is he? Still big smiles from him, even as things are going horribly wrong. And your Firefly Valspine Slayer turn, let's take a look at this. It deals with just a 3/3, does leave a 3/4 on the board. Is there... Could he go Weapon Mookla instead and just deal with the Ooze? The problem is then the bananas buff up the Dustbreaker and then he makes the straight trade with the Mookla.
All the way through this game, ever since turn 1, it's not been much fun.
No.
Be interesting to see how it would have worked out if you'd given, say, an extra card, but you know, you can't allow for that second Dustbreaker. If your Priest opponent's going to have 2 Dustbreakers and Activators, you sometimes just have to say, okay, you done me.
I mean, it's, a few turns ago we said that the Rogue should have the tempo by now. That's how the Odd Rogue wins, by getting down on the board early and just putting in too much pressure for the Priest to do.
How about Firefly and Cobalt Scalebane here, which is going to set up the Firefly to challenge the board, and the Scalebane could live, or vice versa.
I like it, I like it. Now, Jackie's saying, you don't have any more Dustbreakers, do you?
Well, yes and no.
Uh-oh.
Primordial Drake's about as close as you're going to get. Any need to Psychic Scream here? Or any need not to, one or the other? I mean, the Rogue has more cards than the Priest in hand. What's even happening?
Yeah, but they're very expensive. Mana cost just that little bit too high. Starting with the Powered Shield and then going to make the decision after that. Kabal Shadow Priest doesn't take anything here.
And yeah, they're not Psychic Screaming anything. They're just going to get the board and try and keep it all the way. And this is when the Priest hero power becomes so strong, when you have high health minions on the board.
Trading away the Firefly rather than the Cobalt Scalebane because it means that Saiyan keeps his board alive, and Jackie shouldn't really have any good ways of dealing with this. However, Valspine Slayer is still an option, and Okay, well, there's two options this turn, really, isn't there? There's the Vastbane Slayer and there's the Flame Elemental Fungal Mancer value trade, the Scalebane. Neither of them look that bad.
They don't. I mean, they're desperately trying to get 2 minions to hang around so they can play the Fungal Mancer. And they're also desperately trying not to die to Primordial Drake. And those two things don't seem compatible right now.
So Flame Elemental Fungal Mancer. Cobalt Scalebane trades with the Twilight Drake. It then takes more than just Primordial Drake to deal with it. So it'd be Primordial Drake and a trade. Same with the Flame Elemental, which would have 4 health. That would also take Primordial Drake and a trade. And then next turn, Jackie could play Vicious Fledgling plus Vastbane Slayer to deal with the Twilight Drake. And he's now ahead on the board. So that's the main line that I can see. It's got somewhere slightly different to that, with the playing all of the cheap drops except for Mukla. So that Vastbane Slayer is going to be even more difficult to activate now.
I didn't know road games could get to turn 7. I've never seen them have to make decisions like this before.
The problem is, with this line that Jackie's taken, is that it just loses to Primordial Drake.
I mean, it does. Maybe there comes a point, though, when the priest is on 26 and you've done nothing, that you just have to say, okay, I lose to some things. Maybe that's how they're feeling about this. It's like they've got a 5-1 and a 1-2, given that the Dustbreaker's trading into the Flappy Bird. And it could easily have been a 5-1 and a 4-2, and they still have to deal with the bird if there's no Drake. The fact there is a Drake just means they're donezo in a lot of worlds. But this is a way to try and stick down 2 minions for the Fungal Mancer, get some value out of the remaining cards. I think this was a calculated risk that didn't calculate where we wanted it to go. I think this was fine.
Now it's going to be a pretty straightforward Mukla Vastbane Slayer, and I guess you can make the argument it's paid off then.
I mean, if this is the worst case, this is the board state they would envisage as the worst case, maybe it's not too bad.
So many.
Yeah, okay.
That's another option. But
it's the final push now, this is, and it's going to be Psychic Screamed away, most likely. And then what? Psychic Scream, Cleric, Banana to buff up the Cleric. Seems fine. Chile, Ukraine, 0-3.
absolute massacre there. Ukraine proving, going to 2-0. I think last week they were shouted at a bit on Twitter, what you doing? But proving this week that they are one of the best teams in the world.
So that does prove it is possible in the Hearthstone Global Games to get 3-0s. It's not a
First or
format.
second one,
It's not a format thing. Like, it can happen. We've just not seen anything other than a 3-2 today. We're giving you as much Hearthstone as we possibly can.
I know what Saiyan would like to do here is to play an Alexstrasza and not have it blown up by a Vile Spine. And I suspect they're spending a lot of time here trying not to play Psychic Scream.
Alexstrasza would be so weak to Fungal Mancer, though.
It's weak to everything. I mean, I don't think they end up doing anything but the Psychic Scream. But what else could they do?
Minion plus Cold Blood would also be devastating if they want the Alexstrasza. I'm pretty sure Psychic Scream is the only possible path. And yeah, finishing up the turn with the Cleric and the Banana, just getting himself onto the board. United States are just doing everything they possibly can to defend themselves preemptively against what the United Kingdom have. Oh, there's Cold Blood, but this hand is full of nothing. Come on, Baku.
It's been full of nothing the whole game, although they have got through 3 of their 3 drops. Baku.
And this is what I mean. They burned through the 3 drops too quickly earlier when they could have gone with the Fungal Mancer play before and not had these useless 5 drops in the hand. I really think they could have managed their resources differently this game and ended up in a better position with more refill later on.
Trying to work out, though, what the United States have got going for them here. Because they can't actually kill this thing right now.
And that is a problem. Can't even get any card draw off of it. I guess they have to Master Spell. Ugh.
I mean, they can 9-9 Alex with a Banana, or 8-8 Alex and then hit him for 3 with a Cleric.
Must consider.
And just try and start a race. Don't forget, we can see that it's a race they might not win, but they can't see that.
8-8 Alex is probably good enough, right?
Yeah, it's a point now.
Value trades with the Baku. And yeah, as you said, that's more damage to the face immediately. How much damage?
Oh!
Okay. All right, hang on. Leroy Coldblood Baku is 17, 18, 19 with the weapon. That's maximum damage output this turn.
I'm looking along the lines of Yeah, anything you like. Yeah, Fungomancer, Vilespine.
Fungomancer Vilespine is now better because it just shuts down, just saying.
It does give them a card, but of course the Cleric gets an easy trade. You can also Fungomancer and trade. That doesn't win ever. Let's not do that.
Fungomancer and trade.
Yeah, that just doesn't do its thing very well. Let's try some real plays.
I mean, I agree with you. The one Fungomancer in the last one today does a pretty good job. It allows Jackie to push Knight into the face. He's still got Leroy Coldblood, Vilespine. Sorry, Leroy Coldblood and Fungomancer to play the following turn as well.
Yeah.
Not all at once, but over the next few turns rather.
Sure, have your card if you want it, because it's not going to help you enough.
Just saying, needs to find a Psychic Scream from that Shadow Visions right now.
I think so. He's facing down how much? Lots. Lots is how much he's facing down.
Yep.
15, 20. So, yeah, basically you're right.
A flubidious amount of damage.
It is indeed. Holy Fire does keep them alive if they heal face as well, I think. 22? No, because they lose the weapon. So it doesn't.
Well, he can trade with the Baku, right? As far as just saying's concerned.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to find ways to win next turn if I didn't die. So yeah, you can do trades and things, but they don't seem to actually keep you.
Oh, we can't. Baku's got 10 health as well. I forgot I got Fungomancered. So digging.
Quickly.
It's gonna
Now Holy Fire face. It's not enough because I'm saying not enough trying to pick up 5 damage next turn.
Well, it's enough if he's not playing around Leroy Coldblood in hand, right?
Sure.
Like Leroy plus buff is what it takes just saying to kill Jackie. I don't know if Stain can afford to play around that. There's the Psychic Scream. It's 2 draws too late.
23 exactly. No, 22. But that does it.
And Deckhat.
That does it.
Wow, that game got a little bit too close for my liking. Again, I didn't agree with the United Kingdom allocation of the Fungomancers there, and they still ended up with 1 dead in the hand at the end of the game. They could have stalled out, used their 3 drops a little bit later, and had a Vicious Fledgling in a better position. However, in the end, they did just about get there, and they take the second game. Phew, I don't have to put another cross through my nose. They actually won this matchup that I said they would win.
Yeah, and only just though, and really looked like they'd lost it there with the second Dustbreaker, but being, we look at the Primordial Drake play around where they chose not to, and then we saw that the reload actually was fine. It cleared off the Drake and put stuff on the board.
Yep.
The Mukla gave the bananas to a opponent who has got no minions in hand as far as I know and no board, so managing to get Mukla down in conjunction with a Slayer put all that attack on the board in one go, which meant that if your opponent has Primordial Drake, you're actually okay, so let's not worry about it.
We can probably argue about it for quite a long time, and that's one of the beauties with Hearthstone. The game is not easy to find the right play in most of these cases. We're going to spend the next few minutes having an argument, but after that, we'll be back for the rest of the UK versus the USA. Welcome back to the United Kingdom versus the USA. As usual, the score is 1-1. I feel like I've said that every time we've come back from a break today. And still, as we've been saying this whole series, United Kingdom do have a favourable lineup against the USA. They did lose the favourable matchup against the Aggro Mage, which was due to some very good draws on the USA side. But now it's going to be... There we go! BeanHS. At BeanHS. Make sure you follow me at
2019 contestant Daniel Bean. Where have you been?
I've been playing HS, apparently. It's going to be Zoo Warlock versus Malygos Druid. Let's take a look. There you go. Toast Monster on the Warlock. Terrence M on the Malygos Druid. Quick, I need to make a Twitter account.
Toast Monster, obviously, as you keep saying, we're from the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom are favoured in a lot of these matchups.
Do we have to admit that we're from the United Kingdom?
No.
Yeah,
we're from Poland now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the players, again, everyone would have to say that the United States has a stronger lineup.
Right.
We're talking 4 of the best players in the world. I mean, Muzzy is the one that's not here, but I know that you particularly favour Muzzy as a player.
Yeah, Muzzy, I mean, Saiyan as well. Saiyan is still, after all this time, the most underrated Hearthstone player there is.
Right.
We've managed to communicate the Hunter race might be reasonable at this game by this point. I think people know that Muzzy might have a bit of an idea, but Saiyan is another player who's doing terrifically well all year, and because he keeps getting overshadowed by Hunter race, is being overlooked. But he's been top 4 in the 2 that Hunter race won. If that was anybody else, if Hunter race wasn't just going insane and winning everything, people are going, this Saiyan guy keeps reaching the top 4. And I think he may be the most underrated. As another underrated player is Terrence M, who had a fantastic year like a year and a half ago or so.
I first saw him winning DreamHack. That was the first time I'd ever, or coming second.
Yeah, I think he lost to Chucky in that final.
Sorry, it was second place.
Did incredibly well. Had a lot of other good DreamHack runs. I think he did win a DreamHack, but it was not a Grand Prix event as
I'll
well.
rephrase. So. I first saw him winning at a DreamHack.
Sure. Get out of this one.
And United Kingdom have a handful of 1-drops.
Handful of 1-drops, Light Warden, Voidwalker, Flame Imp. Toastmonster looking a little nervous here. First time on the massive stream.
Yeah, it is actually. Like you said a few moments ago, he was second place in the ESL UK Premiership at the end of last year. A tournament that I'm competing in this year.
And obviously, as we know, Toast, he doesn't quite normally look just like this. He's normally a little bit more calm than this. He'll be fine. Terrence, on the other hand, looks so nervous. Just absolutely stunning.
He looks about as chilled out as I've seen a Hearthstone player.
Exactly.
So very relaxed, very comfortable. That's what I like to see. And he's got the Spellstone if he wants to deal with that Flame Imp straight away. This matchup is not about getting to that ultimate win condition with the Malagos. Against the Zoo, it's just about living.
Yeah, if you survive through the first 6 or 7 turns, you just find a way to kill them. It doesn't matter what you do. Hit them with Malfurion a few times. Doesn't really matter.
The United States are running a bit of a heavier Malagos Druid list. They are running Tyrantus. They are running Starfire as well, and also the Lich King, Alexstrasza, Malagos, all of the regular big stuff. So a little bit top heavy. Going to be slightly tricky to keep up with the Zoo deck.
I think it's important that Terrence has had these big results, not only obviously because it's nice to get big results, but because to be on a team with this many high-level players, you kind of got to prove your worth a little bit.
Right. And
so having those behind him, if he doesn't, he will get the respect of this team. Whereas maybe another 4th choice possibly wouldn't have so much, but Terrence has been known to, been there, done that, and if he has a decision to make, he'll make it if he has to.
Involves a lot of decision making and actually a lot of teamwork in the Hearthstone global games as well. Can he make decisions with his team as well as he can on his own? Gonna just hero power the face. They're leaving those Light Wardens. I guess the logic is if there's a Fungal Mancer in hand, then hitting a minion would just buff them even more. And hey, Fungal Mancer gets picked up, and Terrence will be rewarded for going face there.
Yeah, the other card, not Fungal Mancer, the
Fungal Enchanter.
I knew what you meant. I was just trying to work out what it was actually called.
It's fungal. It's all fungus, right?
Yep.
But if he did hero power into one of those minions, they would both be 5/2 Light Wardens, and that would have been a lot of damage coming in.
Yeah, it certainly would. It's always nice when you turn the Flame Imp into an upside for the downside. And there's been metas where you didn't play Flame Imps because you might die because of the damage you took, and now in a meta where you want to hurt yourself.
When you put it that way. They're just going to keep on smacking Terrence. He's got Prince Keliseth now, which is always pretty good to have by turn 4.
Yeah, so what the UK have to be discussing is what do we do about spreading plague? Do we kill them before it? What do we play around? Do we bother?
Right.
What's the minimum number of minions that gets this done? From United States point of view, it's where's our spreading plague? We haven't got it anyway. They're going to have to buy time with their various removal spells just to even try and get there, and an early Panic Nourish might be on the cards here.
Spreading Plague is a key card in this matchup, sure, but I mean, I talked about it earlier, I'll talk about it again right now. Look how big some of these Zoo minions can get. Like those Light Wardens, they need one more buff, and they are going to value trade into the Spreading Plague Beetles.
Yeah, they will take a damage though, and then Your other beetles will at least get rid of these annoying things. There is the spreading plague. Wondering how tempting that makes it just to swipe one of these away and put some damage on the other one's way at it. But the trouble is then you're facing potential healing. But I think that swiping here might be very tempting.
Coin Nourish is also very
yes,
tempting.
it is.
It will allow Terrence to curve into Malfurion if he wants to play Malfurion next turn. Could even Wild Growth, though. Oh, okay, he is going to Wild Growth. I'm not sure how vital it is to be on 8 mana next turn, but he's going to go for that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, it's how vital is it to put them on 25 instead of 26.
Right. Yeah.
Or to eat 2 more. So that makes sense, just for you might as well.
Oh, Fungal Mancer is so good here. Because if Toastmaster wants to play around Spreading Plague, he buffs up the Fungal Enchanter and also Prince Kalaseth, then Spreading Plague happens, and if Toastmaster draws anything that heals him, then the Fungal Enchanter and both Light Wardens are value trading into Beetles. Scarabs. What are we calling them today? Beetles or Scarabs? I feel like we've gone with both.
Go with either. Scarab's a sort of beetle.
Okay. I will trust your worldly knowledge with that.
Just trust my guesses. You think I actually know things?
So many
I think you know many things. I just don't think many of them
I
are
bluffed, really. Okay, that's fair enough. It's a good call. Yeah, the reason I was talking about Spreading Plague so much is it's kind of the only way to put damage on other than swipe on these minions. But Malfurion can pick them off one at a time, but I don't think they have the time.
So many possibilities.
Just so they go down the armor, but you've got 12 from branching paths to come.
There you go. Toastmaster goes down where I expected it to. Toastmaster gets 2 chances to draw something that heals him. Voodoo Doctors, Life Drinkers, another Fungal Enchanter. Yeah, there's quite a few targets in the deck.
Whew.
And it's going to be difficult for Terrence to justify not just casting Spreading Plague here. Malfurion isn't good enough. 5 armor plus 10 extra taunt damage, so say that's an extra 15 health.
Spreading Plague, do you take one of these out with your hero power Moonfire as well?
Yes. Had to think about that for a second, but yes, I think...
So now it's 4 minions versus 5, even though you're taking the damage. Got yourself a chance at branching paths for 12 next turn.
And not quite dead to Soulfire this way either.
So... yeah, just hanging on in there. So Toastmaster needs to pick up something pretty decent here.
That's the
pretty
Soulfire
decent,
I was
but
talking about. But yeah, 4 damage to the face is not quite 6 damage to the face. However, paired with a Life Drinker or something, there's the Voodoo Doctor. So that trade into the Light Warden made a big difference here.
Next turn is swipe branching paths or Malfurion, depending how much damage they're looking down.
If he can at all help it, he will want to play the Malfurion. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that was presumably a large part of the purpose of the ramp in the first place.
I don't know that that's going to be an option. Malfurion plus Hero Power plus Naturalize actually might do enough. Though we're getting into scary territory.
Yeah, when you're naturalizing Zoo.
Yeah, putting Soulfires into the hand. And,
you gave the 5 armor, but you're just giving them so much more sustain. And
we had a conversation last week about Zoolock and whether they should be running Doomguards or not. We agreed that they seem to be running Leroy's rather than Doomguards.
Yep.
This list is running double Doomguard, double Soulfire.
I like this. I like the UK suddenly.
Make your mind up.
I mean, yeah, we were saying that if you're going to top out at around 5, why aren't you playing the card that's really good on 5?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, we weren't talking to the UK players about it, we were just talking amongst ourselves here.
Yeah.
And seems like they've gone with that. They are playing, I mean, a very, very aggressive lineup this week across the 9 decks.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a factor. It's just a little bit more aggressive to get under those control decks, finish it off.
So Terrence can't play Malfurion Hero Power Naturalize. That's actually 10 mana as it happens. I'm wondering if there's any way he can swipe. If he swipes the Kalaseth, that deals with 2 minions, but no.
Yeah, this Tar Creeper's really irritating.
I think Malfurion is safe this turn.
Okay.
If he wanted to get that down, though I'm not sure how much it actually helps him in the long run. Terrence needs to draw into the second Spreading Plague, really.
Which is rough. Okay, what have they found here?
Swipe play. Okay, this is really nice. Leaves the 2 taunts on the board to trade with the 2 minions that United Kingdom have at the moment.
Fungal Enchanter.
Okay, that's a strong card.
Right now, yes, it is.
Putting the Fungal Mancer that's on the board out of range so that it can trade into a Scarab and survive, as it's a 3/3 thanks to Keleseth. Also worth remembering that Starlight Chain Gang, they are 3/4s.
So
It's 2 copies of a
many
3/4 with Taunt.
possibilities.
Even so, the USA's health total seems to be going up rather than down for the last few turns. That's how amazing Spreading Plague is, at least it's stalling. Or how good Branching Path
Right,
is, more
and
to the point.
you're right, it's stalled very well, but has it stalled well enough? A second one maybe would.
Maybe, because yeah, there's less available buffs here for the United Kingdom.
Terrence needs Ultimate Infestation as soon as he can get it.
He needs so many things.
Like, the problem is, Ultimate Infestation is like a key card in coming back, but it can get too late to the point where the Ultimate Infestation can't come back anymore because it doesn't do enough to prevent immediate lethal. And I think this turn is sort of the last chance. Starfire plus Spellstone is not bad. Malfurion still isn't that bad either.
Yeah, Malfurion you can...
Yeah, Malfurion does protect him for now. He can armor up and also play the Spellstone to deal with the 4/4. That's about the best play he's got. But Terrence is just running out of cards. That's his biggest issue this
Yeah, that's
game.
incredible. I mean, I know Zoo has a hero power that draws you cards, but it tends to put those cards immediately on the board.
It's like I was saying, he needs to draw the Ultimate Infestation. Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and by sooner you mean this turn that's already gone.
I mean 2 turns ago, actually.
Okay, yeah, even that soon, okay. That's very soon. Way too soon for Terrence to get it.
And the problem with Terrence's list now, like I said, it's very top-heavy. What happens if he now just draws Tyrantus?
Then he dies with the Tyrantus on the board.
Yeah, or in his hand, even.
Probably more likely.
The circle
But
of life.
sneaking Malfurion down. And allowing the opportunity to survive one more turn by making the poisonous.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Feels that he's got enough time to do this. And that's what I was going to say a minute ago, but something happened and I ended up not saying it, where basically you can armor up here and just effectively get rid of one of those minions for a while.
So the United Kingdom has 10 damage,
Okay?
and the United States have 20 health. So for now, Terrence is as stable as he can be. And so going with the poisonous makes sense because it's 2 guaranteed clears.
Yeah, and it's actually quite hard for the United Kingdom to get to those as well. So a chance to Soulfire the 2/4, but even then, what do you put in? They're just challenging so hard on board.
Does he even need to pay attention to these spiders? He could just go.
I mean, when you conclude you can't deal with them, then you can, just don't pay attention to them and hope they go away.
But I agree with Soulfiring away the 2/4. I don't think there's that many reasons not to. He's going to draw a Doom God sooner or later, so better to get the hand discard cards out of the hand before drawing the cards that they actually want to discard.
And gave himself maximum control over that, discarding exactly the card he wanted to discard by leaving it as the only option. So, removing the RNG aspects from the game, always nice to see. And what can Terrence pick? Innovate.
That's not the one.
No.
That's not Ultimate Infestation. And even then, I haven't actually added it up yet, but Ultimate Infestation probably too late.
And that is Mr. King. He's way too late, though. TLK.
Yeah, making both of these trades. Hero powering to gain armor. 10 damage on the board. Still not quite lethal.
But so many outs for the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Pick anything that does damage this turn, basically.
Not that. That deals damage to the board, not to the face. That deals damage.
That does.
That'll do it.
Yep. Bang on.
That'll do it. Life Drinker. This isn't the first time today that we've seen Life Drinker hit the board for lethal, not in a Shadow Walk deck. I feel like we've seen it in Mage this morning. Life Drinker showing that it's a powerful card across the board. And Toast Monster takes the second win for the United Kingdom. He doesn't look too happy about it. That is a face of concentration.
Yeah, he's still, he was gesticulating to the rest of the team there, sort of as if, don't worry about that or something. Something there One of those turns most likely resulted in pandemonium.
I mean, I don't know what happened to the whole no Mars, no win.
Yeah, this is a guy who is suddenly no trash talking,
Right.
just getting on with the game.
Right. It was sheer focus just then, and with good reason. The United Kingdom is now 1 win away from beating the United States. This would be the first time they've ever beaten the United States at anything, ever. As we go up to ball control versus Frozen, Death Rattle Hunter versus Shadowwalk Shaman.
For the win. Reminder, these two teams are both 0 and 1 as well. So losing this is going to put the losers into a really tricky position to get out of this Swiss stage.
I have a feeling we're going to have some very angry viewers if the United States end this series at 0 and 2. And I also think we're going to have a very angry Sottle.
Oh no.
Which is pretty standard.
Can we just stay in cars like 5 more series? Because I don't want to go anywhere near an angry Sottle after this.
The United States Sottle's pick. Very happy Dan Gaskin though, who
but he's not here.
He isn't even here. Can we not? Okay.
Just get him in early for tomorrow. Send Sottle home. Everybody's happy, and we get a happy Gaskin.
Don't worry, Lorinda. Netherlands won today, so I'm pretty happy.
I don't want anybody to be happy, apart from Sottle.
What is wrong with you?
Have you met Sottle?
It would be interesting to see what he's like happy. Either way, let's talk a little bit about Death Rattle Hunter versus Shadowwalk Shaman. So actually both teams have brought Shadowwalk Shaman with Pyromancer to the list. The difference is one of the teams has lined that up against Odd Paladin, the other team hasn't.
Yeah. Ever. Fail.
And so as you might imagine, the Death Rattle Hunter is actually very good against Shadowwalk Shaman, meaning that this is going to be a tough game for the United States to win. The Death Rattle Hunter is very aggressive, gets itself onto the board very, very quickly. Eggs go down, play deads happen. It's very difficult to deal with the board ever. Volcano is hard to play correctly when not only do the Hunters have lots of minions with lots of health, but also Death Rattles.
Yeah, and the eggs are just so annoying to deal with for any control deck. It makes it so difficult, and the reason we're seeing so many iterations of this deck at the moment, because even though it's new, it's not that new in Hearthstone terms. It's 10 days or something now we've been seeing this deck.
Yep.
Is nobody quite knows how to tune it against the aggro decks. So we're seeing various bits and pieces happening in the Hunter, but I believe this is a fairly, I guess we've got to call it as normal a build as you can hope for right now.
It's almost identical to the one we saw earlier today. The one we saw earlier today had 2 Witchwood Grizzly. This one has 1, and also only 1 Psionic Chain Gang. They've put in a second Firefly to replace one of those cards, and there's another card they've put in which I haven't... Oh, Mossy Horror, because this is the Keleseth list, not the...
But it's Mossy Horror with Keleseth, which is interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mossy Horror is now a big chunky minion with Keleseth.
But all these ways of dealing with sort of aggro. This one, I'll kill my own egg while I'm at it. Other ones are playing the secret package with like Explosive Trap in particular being really helpful. And then you see the version that just cuts the top end and tops out basically Katharina fetching Grizzlies, which just keeps putting 3 12s and 4 12s in your way and says, well, go through this.
To be fair, Shadow Word Horror was pretty good towards the end of its position in the rotation. So it sort of only makes sense that Mossy Horror, which is the same card but with a, 2/7 body?
My concern with Mossy Horror is if its job is to... I understand it's very synergetic and it looks good and all that, but if its job is to protect against an early rush, it's still kind of expensive.
It is, yeah.
So,
I mean, the fact you can't play it until turn 6 in itself is an issue.
And then the fact that it triggers your egg...
Right, okay.
Sure.
So I've had many debates with Raven and Startle over the weekend because I couldn't wrap my head around it. I can see the value in Mossy Horror. What I cannot see is the value of Mossy Horror just to pop your own eggs.
Sure.
Like, to me, that's a bit of a stretch. And Raven was saying, oh no, I've done it plenty of times. It's like playing Dragon Caller Alana. You drop the card, all of your eggs become 5/5s, and it's really powerful. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it. How often does that actually happen?
And there's a certain value to keeping your egg as an egg, as we're seeing more and more when some decks destroy the egg early, actually just leaves the hunter with a load of useless cards in its hand. Now, that's not so relevant on turns 6 and 7 as it is on turns 3 and 4, but I'm still out on that card. I want to see it played more.
The counter argument is that Raven says that you cube the egg, you end up with the 5/5 straight away. When the cube dies, you end up with several eggs, then you Mossy Horror those eggs. And, you know, I can see the argument. It's comprehensible. I'm just struggling to get behind it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, Dan. I'm going to agree with you. We'll stick together as boys.
It's going to be Ball Control versus Frozen, though. Frozen up again because Muzzy not being here, as we said before. No Muzz, no win, apparently.
First decision here for ball control is, do we keep Shaw?
Sure.
That's probably what they're considering.
How good is it against Shadowwalk Shaman? How often are there actually minions on the board that you need to trade into? Because Shaw's only good if you can just like make all of the trades, crack your own cubes with it, etc.
I mean, it's big,
I mean, it's a big minion in itself,
but then
right?
it's not getting anything done. So it's a fair point.
Probably baits out a Hex. No, it probably doesn't.
Ball still gets surprisingly nervous, but he's getting less and less nervous in all the matches I see him play.
Boar's done everything, right? Boar
Yeah.
has now competed at the highest level. He's cast at several tournaments.
At very high level as
Right.
well. Well, that's a weird set of cards. All the time travelers from 2015 just went back. What's this? I'm off.
One player running Farsight and Earthshock, and the other player running Mossy Horror.
Yeah, what even is that card? What are these cards? Why have they got silly pictures? Welcome to Hearthstone, home of silly pictures.
Mossy Horror just looks friendly to me. I'd be friends with him.
He stamps on small animals.
Nothing wrong. Yeah, okay. No, don't even get him.
And you'd probably still be friends with him because you just wouldn't want to upset either side of the argument. Well, I like the animals, but the horror's kind of cool too. So, Frozen, obviously. How many times have we said about Shadowwalk? Try to draw cards, get combo, do Shadowwalk things, make Shadowwalk.
Blah, 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 blah. We know how Shadowwalk works by now.
Yeah. It's claws catch, it's jaws bite. We get it. We understand.
I'm more interested in Ball Control's hand, honestly. And again, we should be talking about the favoured player, but it's not worked out so far. Nothing to play on turns 1 to, well, turns 1 to 3 at all. And then it's on turn 4, it's drop Houndmaster Shaman. By then, the Shaman should have a way of dealing with it.
Interesting to me how far Ball Control's come in this last 12 months. He is quite clearly, in my mind, the best player on this team. And we're talking about a team that includes Green Sheep and Jackie Chan.
Right.
Like, Green Sheep has been a top-level player for a long time.
Yep.
Jackie Chan is a very powerful streamer. Obviously, we're never going to find out how good Jackie is because he plays his own way, his own decks. But
And
to do that, you've got to be good.
He's talked about this multiple times. He's tried getting into the mindset where he just wanted to complete solely this year.
Yeah.
But he said to me he just can't do it. It's just
Some people are
not,
just like that.
it's just not fun for him to not put his own spin on things.
And I'd use almost exactly the opposite when you talk about people like that. Like, he can't not compete.
Yeah.
I think he would love to turn on his stream, you know, load up some fun decks, have a laugh, and you can't do that. So everybody different, and it's absolutely fine that that works out that way.
Yep.
But just saying that if Ball Control's clearly your best player, and two of your players are Jackie Chan and Green Sheep, with respect to Toast, who is still sort of in the early stage of his career, he's a very clever guy. He's going to end up with a great Hearthstone future, I think. But Ball has really come that long way from last year, I feel. Obviously full-time now. This time last year he was still sort of finishing up university and had a lot of other distractions.
Yeah, but ever since he has been full-time, he's been really putting his all in, and I think impressing everyone. He's grown his own stream to a pretty big level compared to how it was before. Well, like it was,
And still growing. And basically a big part of, you know, all three players are, but a big part of FTK's points attempt at number 1. They're going to probably finish number 2, thanks to the unstoppable force that is Muzzy, who meets the immovable object that is Hunter Ace in the top 16 this weekend in Japan, I believe.
Oh wow!
So that'll be worth watching.
So a point that we were talking about Mossy Horror earlier. A point I didn't get to make was actually how Mossy Horror interacts really well against Shadowwalk Shaman, in that it beats Manatide Totem, but more importantly, it beats Acolyte of Pain. So I wonder if Frozen needs to play around that by playing this Acolyte of Pain as soon as possible and trying to get it to start drawing cards before turn 6, where it can just be annihilated free.
Yeah, that makes some sense. And in general, just getting it down early against this deck full of big things. But if you play it down, they might not play their 1/2s. If you don't, maybe they do.
That's true. So maybe this turn maybe Frozen can make the decision after this turn.
Interesting that with the way this game has started, both players can make a lot of reads on their opponent's hands. And you see Boar now, I think he's trying to work out more about what his opponent's going to have than what he's going to do.
Right.
Like what's causing these plays to happen? You know there's no Mana Tide, so would they play an Acolyte, etc. From his side?
Now that Boar actually has a card that he can play from his hand anyways, he has to start thinking about things.
Will our Shore live? Will it get hexed? Do we mind if it's hexed? What do we want to do if it does live? Have we got a good play?
So it's impossible for me to answer all of the theoretical questions that Boar Control's asking in his head.
Right.
But I would argue, no, it doesn't matter if Shore gets hexed. Again, I said before, it's not really like there's usually many minions on the board that Boar Control can trade into and take advantage of Shore. And I think he would much prefer to see this card get hexed than an Ooze or a Savannah Jaime or one of the real threats.
Yeah, and this is actually, like you said earlier, there's got to be minions on board for you to rush into, but there's going to be one or two. Frozen can't use the Earth Shock. There's far too many good targets for that to silence than this. Or anything with the word Death Rattle written on it, for instance. And neither players have clear routes to victory or even trying to set it up the next 3 turns. Like, what do you cube? How long do you give this cube before you actually have to just play it?
I'm going to just drop the Acolyte into Hellmaster Shore's path here, it looks like. Something I've been wondering is, as Hellmaster Shore gets frozen, is this a matchup where the Shadowwalk Shaman can afford to Volcano his own Acolyte? I mean, he'd rather do that while the opponent's got some of the board as well and deal with everything. But I think that's something the United States have been talking about. Maybe they can set up the Volcano just right so that they draw 3 cards off of the Acolyte and also clear board controls.
Yeah, I was going to ask the other side of that. So why do you feel they might not use the Volcano?
Right.
So
I think it all comes down to what board control plays this turn. If board control drops the cube, then maybe Volcano isn't quite the same. Cube's a 4/6, so it would take all 3 of Frozen's minions to trade into it. And then the Volcano after wouldn't draw Frozen any cards, so maybe it doesn't quite have the same impact. This is a really complicated game.
To be fair, he may be swung by the fact that his hand is absolute trash right now.
Yes.
Like, pieces of combo completed, Glacial Shard. If you even want to count that.
I don't count.
It's just filler where you work out whether you're going to Grumble or Sour first on the Shadowwalk turn, right? It's just like, tune in next card to find out something that doesn't get frozen and actually matters. Obviously it matters because you're trying to freeze their board.
Glacial Shard, a great stooler of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, ball control going to Hunter's Mark and just get rid of the Acolyte in one hit, preventing Frozen from doing anything shady with the Acolyte.
And he had plenty of shady things to do after this Pyromancer came up as well.
Pyromancer Lightning Storm is about guaranteed board clear if Frozen wants to trade the Ooze into the Shore. As would Spell Damage Totem be, as would a rolling 3 on a Hellmaster Shore. So there's a few ways that Frozen could do this without having to waste the Hex.
I like the Pyromancer play because hand size. Let's dump some cards while we can.
There's that, and it's also the only way to guarantee it, isn't there? Like, the Totem plus the Hero Power is a higher chance, but we're only on like something like 70%, whereas this is 100, clears the board. Board control once again has nothing.
Yeah. It has a Mossy Horror.
Great. That's the 6 mana 2/7.
Off you go. Get in there.
It's not so bad.
2 a
it's
turn.
Pyromancer, is it?
Feels like tracking for something that does something is really important right now. But what? Egg's going to probably get Earth Shocked. Although there's Pyromancer on the board, so at least it kills the Pyromancer. You can just keep the Egg back till turn 8. Maybe board just wants to challenge with a Firefly here and develop the Defender of Argus this turn.
It's fascinating.
Try and tracking into an Egg next turn, then you can get Egg and the Ooze on the turn 8.
Yeah, I mean,
Cube on turn 8.
That's exactly what board control wants to do. I mean, it's really fascinating to me how this deck interacts with the other decks in the meta. Because it's not a mid-range deck, not really. It's not quick enough, but it's almost like a combo deck. It's just in the late game, it just sort of throws all its pieces out, and then before you know it, there's a board full of powerful beasts.
Yeah, it's very hard to categorize because it doesn't really sit there and blow things up at the start of the game. It doesn't really do anything either, but it's not a control deck, which is very odd. It's like an accelerated tempo deck where you don't do anything, then you tempo them all in one turn.
Please tell me you just called it an egg accelerated tempo deck.
I didn't, but I was just about to say it's explosive, so that would make up for it.
Okay. Would you like to say that now?
No, I'm going back into my shell.
Okay.
So tracking this turn means they get one extra draw to look at before making the decision. That's the important part about what they did last turn.
Yep.
And if they can find the egg, that's all well and good going into turn 8. If they can't, then they'll have more information based on what's just happened.
Hey, egg. There you are.
Now your tracking's better.
Terra Scale, I guess, is the ideal draw here from the United Kingdom. Oh,
And there it is. And they're rewarded, if they want to go that route, for waiting one turn.
Cube's an option as well now, though.
It is.
That's right, actually. The egg and the Terra Scale were back-to-back in the deck.
And he wouldn't have known which one to pick. He may have picked, yeah, they're back-to-back anyway, so you couldn't pick them both. And by giving themselves maximum information, if they now want to do this, they can. I'm not saying that's definitely what they're going to do.
He might go with the cube instead, because that's more late-game value, isn't it? Several cubes. It's also weaker to Hex. So, given that there's already a cube in hand, I would have been inclined to go with the Terra Scale Stalker there. That's what they did do. And now, straight away, this board is getting pretty big and pretty resistant to Volcano.
I like to see that sort of thing rewarded, because last turn was basically a holding turn. Sure, it did something, but last turn was basically a do-nothing turn. Just so we can wait for the tracking, because we can't play the egg and the cube on 7 anyway.
There's 19 health on the board. Now there's 17 health on the board, but still more than Volcano can deal with. And if Volcano went off now, chances are the 5-5 would survive, the egg would be destroyed, and there'd be a second 5-5 there.
Yep.
So Volcano isn't really an option for Frozen here.
Unless he has no other option. But yeah, there's no way they both survive, right? You can't. 2 + 3 + 3 is 11, + 4 is 15. They could both survive as 0-1s in the world where you want to be incredibly optimistic. Basically, no, don't do it.
I wonder.
Okay, looks like he's trying to roll spell damage. Or taunt would be fine as well. And this looks alright. But now it's all about how do I get to the Shudderwock combo. Haven't seen Grumble yet. Haven't seen Shudderwock yet. Haven't seen Life Drinker yet. And suddenly all the QB naughtiness is coming out of the United Kingdom's side.
Yeah, with Play Dead and Carnivorous Cube in the hand, United Kingdom really do have a lot of potential plays. They could Mossy Horror this turn.
I was looking at that and I saw him playing with it, but it just seems like getting Video Egg isn't what you want to be at right now with Play Dead in your hand.
I agree, but this does look like something.
Yeah.
You put a 4-6 on the board, you put an extra 5-5 on the board, and now when this 4-6 gets destroyed, there's 2 more 5-5s appearing later. It's difficult to deal with this. Volcano certainly not going to do the job. Hex is going to have to do it. And there's a healing totem there from Frozen. That's good, isn't it?
Yep.
Sarcasm.
Doesn't heal 2-1s very well. And Dan using \S.
Backslash, is it?
Yeah. Was it /? It's a slash.
You can't play Hex and Volcano and Lightning Storm, so it's going to have to just be the Hex and the Lightning Storm this turn.
Earthshock the egg.
Oh, sure, you can Earthshock as well.
Which also occupies a space on the board as well. We're not killing it, strangely enough, but he's going to kill it with a Lightning Storm, so it doesn't matter.
This has worked out surprisingly well.
It has and it hasn't.
No, it has.
It looks really good, but also they still got a lot to do if they're going to win this game of Hearthstone.
Uh-oh. Actually, King Crush is looking good as well. It's hard to judge which is better here.
High main allows you to ping. You can crush next turn anyway.
I don't know what to do, Lorinda. Whenever there's a decision like this a player has to make, I usually think, what would Raven say? Raven would just say, go face. I don't know which minion he's playing.
But Raven's already killed them.
Yeah, true.
So, you're right. Looking for the green cards. It's not a creative colour, but it's a damn aggressive one.
Oh my goodness, every single broadcast day.
And here comes the damage, setting up lethal going into next turn. United Kingdom on the cusp of a famous victory.
on the cusp, but United States are going to do what they can to prevent it. Volcano will deal with all these minions, leaving 2 2/2s on the board. Then King Crush can come down, dealing another 8 damage. That's still not quite lethal. It's 14 total, including the hero power.
Plenty of...
can't hero power.
Again, Frozen not panicking on the healing. That'll happen when it happens.
He knows the most damage that can happen this turn is King Crush. He knows that's not lethal. It's the only play this turn.
Yeah, I was hurting at like the Mossy Horror just achieving almost 0.
There was a turn or two where it
Yeah,
could
exactly. And that's why the Huff, because that's actually something they could have maybe... You can't foresee all that. They made massive wide boards, obviously, but...
Both shards have been drawn, so he can't Sandbinder into Shard and Healing Rain. Both have been drawn and played already. Don't believe there's any way out of this. 12 damage on the board. Frozen can heal himself back up to, what, 18? Okay, well he can survive for another turn, just about. 14 damage for board control, including the hero power. There are cards he can draw that just win him the game right now.
I wonder if he could have played the Mana Tide himself, the Life Drinker, and just tried to draw some stuff. You're kind of dead anyway to the same things you're dead to. It's a slight difference.
You're right. That would have left board control at 1 off lethal, which is
Obviously,
fine. It's the same.
Candle shot's annoying, but
yeah.
It would have given Frozen 2 chances to get out of it next turn.
Whereas Mana Tide Totem does not do anything next turn immediately. So, yeah, I like that train of thought. Frozen will be wondering what that leftmost card is.
Yeah. They may even have worked it out, honestly. Oh, yeah. UK will be thinking that, you mean? Or you mean Frozen will be thinking it?
Sorry, the United States.
Yeah, I think they may actually know exactly what it is. There's not much there that it can be. And to 4, as you can see.
That's not quite good enough. Hagatha can clear away everything but put the 5/5 on the board, and also King Crush is still sitting there. Healing up to 9 isn't good enough when King Crush on its own, plus the hero power, would be lethal. Frozen concedes, and the United Kingdom take the series against the United States, putting their first win on the board in the Hearthstone Global Games Swiss, leaving them with a score of 1-1. The USA are now 0-2. That's not where anyone expected them to be.
No, I think Sottle said something about United States, but I couldn't. Not sure.
Sottle said that HGG is coming home to America and the United States are going to win. We're not gonna just forget it because it's Sottle's pick.
Ever.
Sorry, Sottle.
But last year it was Russia who were the team that we were expecting to do well that didn't get through the stages. This time around, United States struggling to avoid making having the same fate. And there'll be 1 or 2 others by the end of the week. As I said at the start of the day, several teams. Big teams, Norway, Denmark, started at 0-1 at the start of this week. 1 or 2 of those are going to be 0-2 as well. What if the United States play Norway on 0-2?
Oh my, can you imagine? Can you imagine how horrible that game would be? All right, we are going to have a chat with Board Control and see what the United Kingdom make of their series. Hey, Board, congratulations on your victory. What did you think after the matchup phase? You had a very favourable set of matchups.
Yeah, you can hear. Yeah, okay, they can hear me. It's fine.
Oh, can you hear me, Board Control? No, Board Control.
We can hear him, but he seems not to be hearing us.
So we'll get back to that in just a second. I asked a long question and he just wasn't even listening, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I think he probably zoned out after the first 2 or 3 words. Wanted to get on with telling his team how great they were. Have a quick look at the way that it went down.
It went down very well for the United Kingdom, losing their first game to a very, very good draw from Frozen, but then taking it down with Otter Oak and the Zoo Warlock and the Death Adder Hunter. Yeah,
and in fact, I mean, that first game was a massive surprise as well, with the Mage actually managing to overturn the Paladin. Didn't seem like he was going to do that either, so bought themselves some time, the US, but not enough to avoid the 3-1 defeat.
I guess what the United Kingdom was saying, no Muzz, no win. I guess that's just the thing.
Yeah, it looks like the thing, and they are going to hope they've got the Muzz back for future weeks, because that's a big deal. Presumably he's travelling to Japan, actually.
Perfect storm for the perfect storm for the United States of America. Though they got the unfavourable matchups, they got the unfavourable, or the best member of the team missing. I'd call that an unfavourable person matchup. Myself.
Unfavourable person matchup.
Yep.
What is a favourable person matchup, though, is you talking to Mr. Control himself. Let's have a look, see what he's got to say.
Hey, Ball Control, can you hear me this time?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Firstly, congratulations, and secondly, what were you guys thinking after you saw how the matchups had lined up? It was pretty good for you, right?
Yeah, so we did the whole pick and ban phase, and it came really close. It was like almost a 50-50 series, and then we picked our decks into their decks, and we were like, that's a good matchup. That's another good matchup. And then 5 matchups later, we were 5 favoured. So we were pretty happy about that.
How are you feeling this year compared to last year? Obviously, I feel the team's a bit stronger, or at least knows each other better this year. And also, what's it like sort of being pretty much in charge of it all with the season you're having being a strong one?
Yeah, so this year I feel the team, we prepped really well together. We are agreeing on all our plays, thinking through everything. We've got people assigned to certain roles, like tracking stuff. We have good reads on their hand, good ideas on what we're playing. And then I think the most important aspect is the pick and ban phase and the decks we bring. And I feel like we have a much wider variety of decks than a lot of other countries who are just bringing maybe the best deck for each class. Whereas you see this week, even though it wasn't played, we had Combo Priest, we had Murloc Mage, so it was some different stuff. And I think there's definitely edges to gain in this format that you can get just with these decks that you play.
Yeah, you had some pretty weird decks in your lineup this time, several of which were banned, actually. Togwaggle Druid and Combo Priest managing to eat up the first 2 bans. What were you thinking with those decks?
Yeah, so essentially our plan this week, we were going to leave up their Druid, and so we wanted the decks which were somewhat good against Druid. Partly, of course, there's 5 decks, and the pick and ban doesn't always go according exact to plan. But we didn't want our decks to be exploitable. We saw they were quite anti-control last week, so a deck like Control Priest can end up being quite weak. If you have Combo Priest, that flips on its head. That beats Shadowwalk Shaman, which is an early pick. That beats Druid, which is an early pick. So it's quite a good tech against what we were expecting them to have.
Sounds like a lot of thought went into that lineup. Yeah. Final question. What does the phrase "no Muzz, no win" mean to you?
It means that we would win without Muzz being on their team. So yeah, no Muzz, no win. Victory for the UK.
Excellent. Congratulations one more time, Boar. Go and enjoy it. We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, see ya. NA lol.
Sorry, that was the last part of the quote, wasn't it?
Boar enjoying himself and correcting casters all at the same time. Let's have a look one more time at why Boar was so happy.
This is not the part where Boar was happy. This is the part where Frozen drew Mana Worm and did some pretty disgusting things with Cinderstorms and Arcane Missiles.
This game was really difficult to navigate, and they ended up getting over the finishing line with just all their resources. They had loads of cards in hand at one point and managed to space them out in such a way that this is how the ending occurred.
Yeah.
I want to go back through this game a million times, though, at some point and see every decision on every single turn. Yeah. There was a lot going on in this one.
Jackie Chan looking very happy when he gets that win, though. They managed to tie up the series 1-1, and this was the beginning of the end for the United States. Like, I'm just finding it really hard to process the fact that they're 0-2 with such phenomenal players in the team.
Yeah, and despite a fairly early spreading plague, it never really looked like Terrence was going to stabilise, although, you know, towards the end, maybe another spreading plague could have given him some sort of chance.
He had some real hand size issues.
Yeah.
Like, he got into that position where if he just drew a Tyrantus or something, he was just going to lose. An Ultimate Infestation would have perhaps saved him in that game.
And then this Hunter versus Shadowwalk matchup just looks better and better for the Hunter each time I saw it. I mean, United Kingdom didn't even get a good start here. In fairness, nor did the United States, but then you just explode onto the board like this and win.
Yeah, I mean, again, Frozen suffering from hand size issues one more time. At the end, he decided to go for as much healing as possible rather than playing the Mana Tide, as you suggested. As we could see, that would have given him just one more card, just one more out to survive, but he didn't go for that. And unfortunately, that was the end of the road for the United States. 0-2 is their score in the Swiss. 1-1 is the result for the United Kingdom.